in that case, by default, the sales channel would already be there. Right? So when you are in the design portal now, let's go into the 3D option. And let's go to the room view, which is the best view for you to furnish and design any room. So here, what I can do is I'll go into insert, furnish. Here, now you can see that there are living room furnitures that are shown here because you have tagged the room as a living room. Earlier, it was tagged as a kitchen. So all the kitchen items were shown here in the quick access. Of course, your entire catalog will also be shown in the all area here if you want to add something else. But depending on the room that you have tagged it as, it will show the quick options there. So we had added it to multi-purpose modular furniture. Now you can see it here. So when you click on this, you have these options now. So we are designing a TV unit. So I have this one very basic TV unit, which is already added. So I can add it completely to my design itself. And you can see that it acts as one unit, and over that, if you want to modify, you can actually select each cabinet and modify it also. Like if you select each and every cabinet here, the entire thing is a group, so you can see the user component, and here you can change anything if you want. But you want to change individual cabinets, let's say this particular cabinet you want to make a change, then you can go into the cabinet option here, and it will act like a single cabinet there. So let's say the width of it right now is 300. I want to make it slightly slimmer, so I'll make it 150. So you can see that this particular cabinet is become smaller now, and you can shift it now if you want. Like you can shift it also however you want. But for the sake of discussion, we will start with a single cabinet and then work on it. So what I'll do is I'll take a in kitchen base shutter. I'll take you have shutters which are with skirting, without skirting, however you want. Since TV units, a lot of times people want to have like without skirting, you can use the without skirting options. Let's say I'm selecting this particular cabinet and I am inserting it into my design. Now in my design, this is added. So if I go into the floor plan, I can see this option here. And if I go into 3D, this is existing in my 3D as well, right? But you also have other options in your furniture, which are drawers, which are more commonly used. Shutters and drawers are a combination that a lot of people typically use. So you can actually select from there. See, wall mount drawers, you have an option. So you can select a single wall mount drawer if you want, or double. So I'm selecting a single wall mount drawer here and I'm getting it added. So when I go into the floor plan now, I can add everything. I can snap it next to each other. And now what I'll do is I will start designing with these. I've taken two cabinets which are together, and now I will copy this or paste it and then try to create a combination as per my requirement. So in this drawer, I have to move it. I have to elevate it to the wall. So what I'll do is here in the position and rotation option down, you can see in position and rotation option, there is a y-axis. Right now, it's sitting on your floor, but you have to give it a height. Let's say you want to place it at a height of 300 mm. So you can select 300 and the height increases. Same thing for this cabinet also. Let's see, for this cabinet, the height is 200. I want to have the same height here. So instead of 350, I'll make it 200 here. And what I'll do in position and rotation, the same thing, I'll make it a 300 in Y. So you can see that, just a second. Position, rotation. Okay, I will use another cabinet because there seems to be a little bit difference in this particular cabinet. But I'll use another cabinet for now. So in the flow plan, let's say I'm using a drawer, and here the width of the drawer is 600. I want to have another drawer. So I'll select copy, Control C and Control V, and I'll place one more cabinet here. And here I will place it next to each other. Now, if you want to have another cabinet, maybe which is 100 but has a lift up or is two drawers, then you can select this particular drawer, let's say, and you can go into the drawer option here, and you can actually sorry, you can go into the partition option here, and here you can add a drawer to this so that it becomes two drawers for you. You can see now there are two drawers that has been added here. So according, one second. Sorry, I'll just control C and control V here, and I'll place it over the same cabinet. And what I'll do is that I will resize both the cabinets here. I'll make one as 100 height and the other also as a 100 height. You can see this is a 100 height right now, and this one also I'll make it a 100 height. So, and one of them I'll change it in position to 400 so that the height of both of them are according to that. Um, one second. Seem to have placed a drawer incorrectly here. Adding any drawer, any base drawer also. If you find any problem, like I'm finding a little problem with adding that particular cabinet, so I can simply take a base cabinet and I will turn off the countertop of the same, and I'll go into carcass, and in skirting option I will turn off the skirting also. You can see in skirting visibility you can turn it off. And now in the settings, if you look at it, I can make it a 100 height, and this particular internal cabinets of that particular drawer, I'll just remove it. It has an accessory added to it, so I'll go into accessory and I'll keep it as none. So I do not want any accessory on this, and this will become one drawer here. So here you can see in this particular drawer that the top is open. So I'll go into carcass, and in carcass I'll just change the top to a full cabinet, like, because kitchen cabinets typically are like half cabinets. So if you want, you can change the carcass also to the to suit your requirement. You can also change the height, like the depth of it. Let's say I'm making it a 300 depth, then I can do that. And same thing I can do here also. I can make it 300 depth here, and like we had done for the earlier one, I can go into position and rotation here and make it a 300 elevation. So you can see here that both the cabinets are now added, and you can place it correctly next to each other, snap it correctly next to each other, and you can see that this cabinet is added. If I want to add one more cabinet here, then I can control C and control V, and then I'll go to the floor plan. I'll place it again over this, but this one's elevation again, I'll change it to, that was 300. I'll change it to 400. Now, when you look at the 3D, you can see that there are two cabinets which are added correctly over this. And in the floor plan, I can see that the drawer that was inside was slightly higher, but it's okay. So this is one thing that you can do. Then you might want to have an open cabinet next to it, like an open drawer, right? So you can just go into furnish here, and in base units, you will find open units also. Same thing you can do is that you can select the open unit here. You can place it in your particular drawing, and you can change the dimensions of the same thing. Like you can select it, you can go into carcass here, the skirting you can turn it off. Like you can see the skirting option here, you can turn off the skirting because you do not need it for this one. You can make the top rails that we had earlier selected. First we'll turn off the countertop for this also. We'll turn off the countertop, and the top rails that you can see here, that one we will again make it a full rail, like a full rail you can see. So here you have again created the same thing. And in height, like we had created earlier, we can create this 300 or however, whichever height you want. And we can also change the width to, let's say, 600 here. And we will see the dimensions of this. It's 450, 300. So we will change it to 450, 300 itself. Like 450 will change it, and 300 was already the height of it. So we'll go into floor plan, and here we'll place it next to the same thing. We can see the depth is 300 here, so we will match it to 300 mm. And when you see in the in the 3D view, it position and rotation in Y, you can make it 300 like how we had done, right? And the height of it here, it's 100 mm, 100 mm to 200. So this one also you can make it 200. So you can see that it is coming accordingly. Now, if you want one shelf inside, you just have to click inside the cabinet and you can go into partition. And here you can see if you want to add one shelf or a partition. Let's say I'm adding a shelf here. So inside that, one shelf will be added. So you can customize something like this as per your requirement. Then let's say you want a tall unit next to it. So what you will do is you can use the same logic of it, like you can use the same cabinet, but let's say I'll just recreate the entire step so that we have a refresher of how we created this. We just went to furnish, we went to base units, we added a open unit here. Let's say I added an open unit here. You can see the open unit that I have added. Then I selected the open unit. Then I went into the countertop and I turned off the countertop for this. Then I went into carcass, and here in skirting option, I turned off the skirting also, right? Then I realized that up here, the panel, I want it to be a full panel, not like how typically kitchens are. So in the same construction option in carcass, I have your half rail option and full rail option. So I'll just select the full rail option and it will be full. Now in this, again, we will go ahead and make the change of the depth here to 300, like how it was for the other cabinets. So you can see 300. And I'll go into floor plan and I will match this particular area here. That snaps to the area. And then in the position and rotation, again, I'll go ahead and make it 300 mm, like how everything else is. If I want to increase the width of it, I'll make it 300 mm. Then you can see the height of this also. You might want to increase it, let's say, to 1200 mm. So increase the height. And inside this, if you want to have more shelves or partitions, you can go into partition here. Let's say I'm going to create a partition, a division in between, then a vertical division will be created. There'll be two partitions here now. And now you can actually go into each of these partitions and you can add multiple shelves. Let's say I'm adding 4 shelves here. So now 4 shelves are created here. But in this one also, I'll create 4 shelves, but I want it in between. Let's say I want it in an asymmetric position, right? So that I can go into partition. I can add 3 or 4 shelves as per my requirement. Let's say I'm adding 4 shelves here also, but now I will change each of these partitions dimension. So if I select any of the partition, let's say I'll select the top partition first. Then what I'll do is I'll go into the partition here, and here in partition dimension, I can switch to fixed height. Typically what happens is whatever is the available option, it will divide into, if I have added 4 shelves, then there are 5 partitions, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So whatever is the distance that is available, it will divide it accurately by 5 and put that dimension. That is auto calculation. So each partition height becomes 218. But in your case, if you want to fix it, because you want it to be in the center here, a different design, so you can switch to fixed height. And when you switch to fixed height, you get the option of changing this partition height. Let's say I'm making it 109 here. So in that case, you can see now that this becomes 109 here. But the rest of them are still getting auto calculated. So if you want, you can change each of these partitions now to, like, you can go into the partition here, partition dimension, switch to fixed, and here you can add it as 280, which was the actual calculation, right? Same thing you repeat for all the partitions. Go into the fixed height here, make it 218, because that is how what the dimension is. If you want to check what is the dimension or anything, you can just click on the partition here. You can go into partition, and here in partition dimension, the exact dimension is shown, 218. So all of them will be accurate if you make it 218. So you can see I've made this one also 218. This one also I'll go into partition and I'll switch it and I'll make it 218. Now you can see that the design is created accordingly, right? Now, in some cases, let's say on this particular wall, you're putting a wallpaper. Like you can select the wall and you can go into, you can select the wall and you can go into your store. When you go into your store, you'll see all the textures that are available and the wallpapers and all that are available. Let's say I'm taking a yellow texture here itself. Um, or let's say I'm taking a slightly better wallpaper. Let's say I take this particular wallpaper. And when I've taken this wallpaper, I want the back panel of this carcass it to be non-existent. Like I just want to have the cabinets only. I don't want the back panel here. So I can select the cabinet here. I can go into the construction option here, and in carcass you can see which panels are visible. If you don't want the back panel, you can simply turn off the back panel and the back panel will be turned off. So now this is how you can create any cabinet like this as well, like bookshelves or anything as such. If you want to create something like that, you can do that. Then another thing that you might have a requirement of is that you might want to add a panel over this. Okay, let's say first we add a panel over this here, because you can see that this is a modular construction. So here the panels are shown here. So you might want to add a panel over this. So first let's add that panel, then we'll add a TV back panel also. So what we'll do is that we will just go into furnish, and here in all you have a custom panel option. Here in custom panel you can see horizontal. Yesterday, if you were part of the discussion, we had shown you how horizontal and vertical are different. Like horizontal basically means that it will be flat on the x-axis. It will be lying on the x-axis basically. And if you are making any vertical one, then it will be standing erect. Like let's say I'm showing you here. So this is vertical custom panel. So vertical custom panel, we will use it for your TV back panel, and the horizontal one will use it for the base panel, the top panel of your cabinets. So let's say, let's understand what is the dimension that you might require for this. Each of these cabinets, this was 600, this is 450, and this is 600. So what is the total dimension that we have? We have 1200 plus 1650, right? So we will select this particular panel here and we'll go into the dimension option here. Sorry, we'll go into the dimension option here, and in width we'll make it 1650. So you can see 1650 here, and then the depth of it, we'll try to make it 4. We'll try, I think the depth here was 300 that we had created, but we'll have a slight difference in terms of the fact that we will take we'll make it 300 only now, and then we'll show you how to do that. Now you might want to rotate it. So if you're rotating, you can open the position rotation option here, and you can select the rotation option. So it gets rotated now. Now once it is rotated, you will have to position this particular item. In position and rotation, you can see what is the dimension of the top. Let's say I'm taking out a wall section elevation of this. I've taken out a wall section elevation here, and here using the measure tool, that I can measure it, I can actually see that. See this line here is your floor tile line, and your elevation will be along with that. So that is why whenever you check the elevation of a base unit, it is 12, because this is the dimension that it captures, right? Like if you select here, this is the dimension that it captures, this 12 mm. So whenever you are deciding on the elevation of a particular item in for position and rotation, you can select from the top and you have to select till the floor base. So this is 500, you can see. So what we will do is we'll go into the floor plan mode again. We can go into 3D itself, and then we can select this, and in position and rotation in the y-axis, we'll make it 500 mm. So this is 500 mm now, and now going into the floor plan, we'll place it accurately. Okay, there's a drawer which is slightly coming out here. So let us fix it here. The drawer inside is still of a higher dimension, so we are just changing the drawer size. The We just changed the default drawer depth there. And when you go into the floor plan here, whenever you have to move something very accurately, right, you will use the offset tool. Like the offset tool, you can see here, offset, like point to point, you can move it. So you can select the offset tool, and what you can do, you can select the corner of the panel and you can select the corner of the cabinet. Now, when you do that, you can see that it will be accurately placed. See, this is now accurately placed. And when you have placed it, after you place it accurately, then if you want to change the dimension, the shutter dimension is, if you want to make it come forward, you can change the dimensions after that. So we will select the panel here, go into dimension, and the depth will make it 50 mm more, so that it projects out slightly. And you can see that it projects out in the other direction, so you can just move it slightly here, that will be fine. So you can see that now the panel is projecting out slightly. If you feel that 50 mm is slightly too much, then you can make it into 30 mm also and move it. So you can see now that this panel is created. Now, if this particular cabinet here, if you want to change the finishes of it, so you can select both the cabinets, all the cabinets, by selecting the shift option and clicking on multiple cabinets, and you'll get the common properties of this. So you can go into the common properties, and here you can change the materials of it. Let's say I want to change the shutter material. The shutter external material, I can go and make it any finish that I want. Let's say I'm going to laminate. I'm adding a I can add any sort of solid finish that I want. Let's say I'm adding a blue finish itself. So now it turns into blue. Now, if I want to change, let's say the internal finish, then the internal finish will also be available here. So I can go here and I can go into laminate again. Let's say I'm making it slightly of a wooden finish. So I can select whichever wooden finish that I want. American walnut if I'm selecting. Then your shutter's internal finish will also turn into that particular finish. And if you want to change the carcass material, then you can open the carcass material option and you can change the internal and external finish of the same. So let's say we were selecting um, in laminate, we were selecting American walnut. So we can select American walnut here. External finish will get changed to American walnut. And if I want to change the internal finish as well to American walnut, then I can do the same again. I can just go into internal finish and I can go into wood grains, and here I have American walnut. So you can see that these finishes are now captured here. And for the open units also, you can do the same. You can select the open units here, both the open and units, and you can go into the same option here, change material. And in carcass material, you can go and change the external finish, same thing. Go into laminate in wooden grains, and here you can go into American walnut again. And this changes the external, you can see. And if you want to change the internals, also the same thing. You have the internal option here. So now this is the finish that you had created, right? Now, if you want to change the handles of this also, you have the same option. You can select all the cabinets, and in the common properties, you have change handle option. If you go into the handle option, there are two handles that are now added. You have to select which of the two handles you want to change. So this handle I want to change to, let's say, antique brass. So these two handles will be now changed. And for this one also, I can go into the drawer, and in handle, I can change it to the same thing, right? So you can see that this is the TV unit that was created. Now, if I want to add a back panel in the same way that I had added here, right? What I can do is for the back panel also, I can select this vertical custom panel that I had added. And in dimensions, I can change it to, let's say, the depth of it is going to be 1650, like we had created for that. And the height of it is right now 1500, like it won't be 1500. We'll just go into the elevation here, and we will go into the measuring tool, and we will just select and see how much. So 986 is the dimension that I need. So I'll go into 3D and I will select this and dimension. I'll make it 986. So done. Then in elevation also I'll change it. You can see that the panel above we had given it a 500 elevation, and the panel that I had selected, you can see here that the panel has a thickness of 12 thickness. You can see it's a 12 thickness core material plus 1 laminate. So we can go ahead and create a position rotation, give it a y-axis dimension of 520, let's say. So in that case, it will get placed there, and I can select this particular panel. Again, if you want to use the offset tool, you can use the offset tool also, but you can actually drag and put it here also if you want. Like you can just simply drag it and place it here because it will snap automatically. So you can see that this particular panel is now added. If you want to add any design over this, then select the panel, and in shutter design, you can see, like, you can change the normal, you can go to normal here, and you can see all the shutter designs that you have available already. So let's say I'm adding a fluted shutter here. So a fluted shutter gets created for your TV back panel. So in this way, you can create all these sort of items. Now, let's say if you want to add a panel over this such that you can add a light on that or whatever the reason be, right?
Rishiparna, I have a doubt in this.
Can we take up queries at the end? Would that be fine?
No, this fluted one only, I have a doubt.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, you added the fluted panel. How can I just increase or decrease the grooves? Like, this is so broad grooves.
Okay. So if you want to, like, if you, what we have done is the design that was that was added, right?
Hmm.
According to that, you can add like new shutter designs with smaller grooves or whatever size you want. And I have taken like a 300. If you change the shutter height, so you have slightly 900 into 300 also. So according to the size that you select, what I had done was for a 30 by 300 by 300 I had taken a reference and done it. But there are other sizes available also. If you take a higher size, that for a higher size of panel, then the groove size will decrease.
Understood. Okay.
You can add like different sizes if you want, right? So that is one thing. Then we will move on to your move on to adding a panel here for lights or whatever you want. So what I'll do is I'll just take this custom panel only as a reference. I'll go into floor plan, let's say, and I'll do Control C and Control V. I'll place the panel here. This panel, I do not want it to be, if you can see in the in the elevation here, I have to check the dimension of this, right? So I'll go ahead and check the measurement here, and I'll check the measurement from the top. So I can see it's 1506. So I'll go into the 3D, and here to this particular panel, I'll give it a position of 1506. And here, when I go into the floor plan, I'll take the offset tool and I will select both the corners and I'll place it exactly on that panel. And when I go into 3D, you can see that this panel is now added here. I might want to decrease the depth of this. So I'll go into dimensions and decrease the depth to, let's say, 200 So it will decrease the depth, and I'll again move it in the corner. So you can see that this particular panel is now added. Now you might want to add any sort of, let's say, cabinet lights or anything above this. So you can select this panel basically, and here when you'll get the option of light. If you add light here, you will see cabinet light. Like you can select the cabinet light, and one light will be added here. Now, if you want two lights, let's say, then what you can do is that you can select this particular light and you can actually change the position of it. Like the x-axis of it, if you make it 300 then it will go to the other side. You can change it according to your requirement. And if you want to add one more light, then you can just click on the drop down, and here you can add one more light by add a light here. Uh, we seem to have the option of only adding one light, but this is something that probably a lot of you people might require. You can definitely go into insert and add a light from the other area also. You can go ahead and add a light here. Like if you are not able to add one more light to your panel itself, then you can go into the furnish and add a light here. But if there is a requirement to add multiple lights into a panel, then we will take it up. Do let us know when you're taking questions. Do let us know that if you want more light options, like if you want multiple light options, then we will take it up as a development from our side. So this is something that you can do here. Then in the edge here, if you want to make this panel as a, you want to add another panel here, then in carcass option here, you can go into the end panel and you can add a left end panel here, and you can see that the panel is now added here. If you need to extend the panel above, then you can go into dimensions and you can change the width. Let's say I'm changing it to 1680, the dimension changes. So accordingly, you can do that. You can also add lights inside each of these panels. You just have to select the panel, go into panel, and herein you can add any light that you want. Same concept, you can add any light that you want. And if you feel that this light is too much, like in terms of the fixture size, then you can actually change the dimension of this light also. The width, height, everything you can change for this light as well by going into the furniture and light option. Here you can see the width, height, depth of the same. So let's say I want to make it slightly smaller, and I'll go into 35 mm and then 35 mm. So you can see that the slice of the light has now decreased. So in that way, you can actually change, add lights, change lights however you want. Then again, one more concept might be that you might want to have a flap down here if you want. So in which case you can simply select the cabinet that you want, and you can go into the drawer system here. You can go into the drawer option here, and here in the drawer option, one second. Okay, I have added it as a drawer already, so I have to change it to a shutter cabinet basically. So if you want to have a flap down, same the thing that you need to do here is that you need to add a furnish and go into anything which is a let's say if you want to have a flap down, you can simply go into your we had added your multi-purpose modular furnitures. Here in TV unit base shutters, you have base shutter options, right? So when you select these particular cabinets here, let's say I'm selecting one cabinet here, I'm going into the floor plan and placing it right next to it. Let's say I'm selecting it and placing it right next to it. And here, I don't want the skirting here, so I'll go into carcass and I'll turn off the skirting option here. I'll turn off the skirting option here. And if I want to make this a flap down, I'll simply select the shutter. And in shutter systems, I have a shutter mechanism, which is a flap down or lift up, however you want. Like if you want a flap down option like this, you can definitely create a flap down option as well. So according to your requirement, you can definitely create different sort of designs as well. Just like how you do in cabinets, like in kitchen cabinets, it's the same concept of doing it for TV units as well. So you can actually go ahead and do something around that. If there are any other requirements that you feel like this is how you make a typical TV unit, right? If there are items on the wall panels or anything that you want to add, it's the same concept of adding, like you basically have to add the same panel, the custom panel that we have added here, right? I can use the same custom panel and add it on my wall. Let's say we will use the custom panel that we have taken and we'll copy paste it here. Paste it here. And let's say I am rotating this panel on the other one, rotating it for the other one, and I'm placing this panel here. So when I'm going into 3D, you can see that this is how we have placed it. If you want to add any texturing to it or anything like that, then you can actually change the dimension if you want. Like if you want to change the width to 1200, or maybe if you want to change it to 2400, which is the total height of the wall, and you can change the rotation value to 0, let's say, or 12, which is the height of the tile. And here you can add any shutter design material. If you are doing wall panelings or anything, then you can definitely select any finish that you want and do wall panels also accordingly. Whatever panels you want to add, you can create wall panels like that as well. This is how you can actually create any sort of a TV unit in your design by using the modular cabinets, because TV units are basically cabinets, modular configuration cabinets, right? So you can combine everything and create different sort of designs and everything that you want. At this point, we would like to take up questions from anyone who has or has any confusion about how to create different types of TV units. Is there anyone who has questions?
Rishipana, I have a doubt.
Yeah.
So you made an open shelf right to the TV unit, right? So beside that, above the wallpaper, you put that open shelf. So do we need a panel below that?
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Where do you want it?
open shelf, but practically it's not possible to put over your wallpaper, right?
Please don't judge my design on basis of technicality, because we are simply trying to create different things. If you just want to if you don't want to have a wallpaper behind, what you're saying is that there needs to be a panel here, right? So I showed it to I basically showed that entire thing such that we can understand how we can hide any panel. If you don't want that, you can simply have the panel on, right?
Yes.
You can
Okay.
put the
You just
panel.
turn on the panel one, right?
Sorry.
You just turn on the panel.
Yeah, but I was just trying to show if anyone wants a three see-through open unit, then how to do that. But if you want the cabinet, you can always ensure that the carcass here, the back here, I had turned it off. You can turn it on. Like it's true for anything. Like if you don't want the top panel, you can turn it off. If you want the bottom panel, you can do that.
It's clear, but I didn't get like how this slightly placed is not centrally aligned.
Oh, I had changed the
Yeah,
dimension of it. No.
change the width, but in floor plan, will I see or move it?
Sorry, you can move it. See, position is there, right? So you can move it if you want. Like you can go ahead and move it like this, let's say 35 mm. I'll move it here. And
Understood.
anything that you want to move it, you can move it.
Understood. Got it.
Exact position. By default, when I added it, it got added like if you see, like if I say this panel, and if I go into panel, and here if I go into light, by default it gets added dot at the center. But if you want to add, if you change the dimension of it, it'll of course become smaller, right? So you can change the location if you want.
Yeah. And one more doubt regarding the fluted panel behind the TV unit, which you have placed. Like there were only two options, like 900 and 300 something. But I want more smaller groups than that. I want to have few
If you
above
want
that.
more designs, more panels types, everything, you can get that added to your catalog. Like if you look at your admin portal, right, in your hardware option you have shutter designs option. Like I'll just go into shutter design. Shutter.
This will, I guess, come in furniture.
Cabinet shutter. Okay. So here you can see all the shutters that we have added here. In fluted shutter, you can see that we have kept like these two dimensions. If you want more, you can simply copy it, make the changes, add a different model. You can create multiple types of designs. Like if you have like you deal with AGT panels or you deal with groovings or anything, upload models of the same, and you can keep changing however you want.
But it would be a very grateful if you can share a video to our CSL person, like how to add different things in our admin portal. Like every time I get stuck, okay, this is not available in Infurnia, but I don't know how to do that. Again, I call Kavya for the same thing. So it would be better if you give a short video of 1 or 2 minutes how to add certain things in our admin portal. So every time it will be very helpful for me as well.
Okay, so how about this? In the next session that we'll be meeting on Wednesday, I will, during the session itself, I'll post couple of links of recorded videos of how you can add different sort of shutter designs or how you can add different models in your. I'll post it on this particular portal itself. I'll keep it ready, and you guys can use the same.
Okay, that will be really great.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Reddy. Mr. Reddy.
Hello.
Yeah, hi.
Hi, ma'am. If I want to close that open unit with the shutter will be a glass. How can I design?
Yes, if you want to close it with a shutter, let's say, uh, let me take this particular cabinet here. What I'll do is that in this cabinet, you when you select this cabinet, you can see the partition. Yeah, if you want to add the shutter for the entire thing, no, then
Yeah.
select the like whenever you select any partition, no, it gets highlighted. This is the partition. This is the parent partition. Did you understand the difference? When you clicked on the center, if you select this partition, no, and you add a shutter system, then it will add a shutter system, then it will get added as a half shutter here. So if according to your design, however you want to add, let's say I want to add in for the complete area. So I'll go ahead and I'll add a shutter system here. And the shutter system, once it's added, I'll select the shutter. I'll go into shutter here, and in shutter design, I'll change the shutter to, let's say, a glass shutter here. I'll select whichever shutter I want. I want this shutter. So now this becomes a glass shutter. I will delete the handle from this, and I will go into shutter system and make it a flap down. So now you can see this becomes a glass shutter.
Yeah, ma'am. Can I extend that glass? Border has a less glass. I want border has very less glass. Can I change? Can I move that carcass shutter?
Yeah, if you want, like, see, basically this the what I'm showing you is a type of shutter design
Okay.
where the thickness of the outer edges are this much. If you want like a shutter which has very slim like edges, then you can upload shutter designs of that sort of designs, and you can use it. Like same thing that I was telling right now. Here in glass shutters, if I have these many shutters, I can add like more shutters which are very slim corners, and then when I use them, that will come,
Okay.
right?
And
Anyone else?
Ma'am, like now I don't want a handle for a drawer, so how can I edit like that?
You want to delete the handle?
So yeah, I want to delete the this handle, and I have to give a opening space that like whatever
Okay.
concealed cabin.
Okay. You select the shutter.
Okay.
When you select the shutter, you can go to drawer fascia or drawer, where like you can go to the drawer basically, right? And
Okay.
here in handle, you have the delete option.
Okay.
So you can delete this, right? So
Yeah.
handle gets deleted. Now, if you just want to reduce the shutter only, then you can select this particular shutter and you can go to the drawer fascia. This is a drawer fascia, no? So you can select that, and here in one second. You can do the reduction. So you can select the shutter that you want to reduce, and here you can go into the panel, and in the panel you have the construction option, where in extension parameter you can change this. Basically, suppose if you want to have a the width to be reduced or the depth to be reduced, right? You can change it, like from in the depth. If you look at the depth, top and bottom is the option. You want to reduce it from the top, and you want to reduce it by, let's say, 30 mm. So -30 you give, and from top it becomes -30. Minus 30 is too much, so I'll just make it 10. So you can see that the shutter reduces, right?
Okay. I don't want the entire shutter to be reduced with the depth. I want something like a V-shaped cut or a U-shaped cut uh,
Okay.
concealed handle.
If you have handles like that added, then you can change the handle itself. Like you can go into drawer and you can apply handle, and you can apply whatever profile handles or gola profile handles or whatever. You'll have to either that two ways basically. Either you add a handle, you add a recessed handle or anything, any other handle that you sort of want, or if
Okay.
you want shutters, because what you want is like you want a cut here, right? You want the shutter itself to have a cut there,
Yes.
right? Cut like this. So that is basically a shutter design. So you'll have to upload models of that sort of shutters, and when change the shutter,
Got it.
right? Like you upload a model of a shutter design where you have a groove like this, and then you can change the shutter basically.
Got it.
Yeah.
Nishana, is there any way to add the SketchUp file into the Infurnia?
If you are adding a complete SketchUp file into Infurnia, it sort of defeats the entire point of you using Infurnia, because SketchUp files don't have any information or anything, right? You can't generate a pricing, a cut list, nothing. You can't.
No, I just mean to say if some shutters which I already designed in the SketchUp
Yes,
which are not available.
you can upload it. That is the way actually, like a 3D model. When you're uploading like all these designs that we have, right, in the admin portal. Let's say I'm opening the. I will just clone this. Like the fluted shutter that you were just looking at here. Let me just clone it here. So if you when you see the shutter, this is basically a 3D model, and it can come from anywhere, like a SketchUp or a 3D Max or anything. Like if you see, this is a model. So if you already have like 3D models of this, you can directly upload the same. This is a 3D model basically.
Okay, so you just cloned it, right?
A clone it doesn't any cabinet that, like the model that the video that I'll show you, right? In that I'll show you how to upload a SketchUp shutter design into Infurnia only.
Okay.
So if you have all the shutter designs in SketchUp already, you can upload
Mm-hmm.
in Infurnia and you can keep using them,
Okay.
right?
The same way I uploaded a floor plan, but that floor plan was not showing in Infurnia. It was just showing a dot. But in AutoCAD, it was there.
In AutoCAD, if it was showing a dot, that means either the scale of that particular file in both the softwares was different. Like one might be in one might be in feet and inches. That might be one case. Or when you're uploading a AutoCAD file, right? Please make sure that there are no stray lines here and there. Like what happens is that if there is a stray line on like a very long distance, because that's what happens on SketchUp. Sorry, in AutoCAD, a lot of times there is a very stray line somewhere, and it sort of picks up that. Make sure when you're uploading a flow plan from AutoCAD, that it should have only the AutoCAD. It should not have dots, and that dot that you're seeing, right? It must be somewhere in infinity. Some dot is there. So
But it
what you
can be a reason of hatching as well if the file contains many hatchings or something like that.
yeah, you can not because of hatching. Hatching does not really create a problem, but it'll have you open the AutoCAD file and you zoom out completely, and you see you will find some dots here and there. That was
Okay.
what it was detecting. Clear out all those and make sure it's only your flow plan that is existing in your file, and when you upload that, it'll come.
Okay. Got it.
Right? Yeah, Mamta. Mamta, hi. You had a question?
Hello.
Yeah, hi.
Hi, Rishibarna. I wanted to know how can we put Cove light around the fluted panel?
You can
behind the fluted panel.
put fluid panels here also. See, so basically you can see, let's say for this panel here,
Mm-hmm.
let's move this panel slightly inside so that let's delete this panel. So for your comfort, we'll move it slightly outside, let's say. And in this particular panel, you can go ahead and add a strip light. So when you're adding a strip light, you will see that the strip light will get added on this, right? Strip light will get added on the back side of it.
Okay. Can't we close it from the from actually what how we make the furniture? We put the 6 inches behind it. We close it completely and then put the
You
light.
can definitely do something around that, but that would require like you to put a panel here, there, everywhere. So what we
Okay.
will do is that we can ask our team to
Mm-hmm.
create a sort of a TV cabinet boxing for you and upload it in the warehouse. I'll get my team to upload a design like that for you so that you can just resize it. Give us like a couple of days and you can add from warehouse. We'll name it as TV unit back panel or something like that.
Okay, and the same thing we want in the ceiling also because boxing is needed in the wooden ceiling also. Behind,
Boxing in the wooden ceiling.
same way, if we want to put the cove light behind the ceiling,
Okay.
so we will need the box which is closed 6 inches behind the main ceiling.
So yesterday we were having a discussion around this that you can actually close the false ceiling also. Like
Hmm.
say if you look at a false ceiling here, right?
Hmm.
So I'm selecting this particular panel here. I'll just remove the lights. So let's say yesterday. So you can see, let's say I'm selecting the ceiling and creating a false ceiling here. I can add a shape. So I can add any shape. Let's say I'm adding this particular shape here. Then, sake of discussion, I'm just making a drop like this, and we will apply it. Then when we select this, we can give it a front shift. So front shift, let's say I'm giving a 100 front shift here. So when you go back, you will see that the false ceiling is created and there is a gap here. So this boxing, if you want to cover it up, you can again go into the false ceiling here and you can add another shape. Like that will be another different shape that you can create, and you can use the same as an outline. And let's say if you want to move this inside slightly, you can move it and you can apply it. Now this particular shape, you can give it a depth of 100 that we had shifted it, because that will be the depth, right? So
Okay.
to see this, you can see that this
Yeah,
gets,
now it's closed.
yeah. So you can,
Okay.
it's only two shapes that you have to create, that's all,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Got
Great.
it. Thank you.
Hi, I'll take the next question. Sanku. Sanku, sorry.
Hello,
Hi.
this is from Apron Concepts.
Yeah, hi.
Okay, we have a simple doubt.
You have.
Usually we finish countertops in a straight line. What if we have to change it to a 45-degree angle? The countertops to a
Mm,
45-degree angle, like chamfering to 45 degree.
You can do that. Not related to this session, but I'll take it up still. I'll take it up 1 second. I'll just add. You
Like
can go.
maybe corners to 45 degree, or just the countertop to 45 degree.
Yeah, I'll just take a sample cabinet here. Let's say I'm taking a sample cabinet here, and this particular cabinet, changing the width here, and I will go into the countertop option here, and here I'll just extend it so that we are a little clear on this. So let's say I'm extended by 600 okay, and here you want to have the countertop as a fillet. So when you select this, right, and you go into the countertop option, here you have a edge operation. So when you select this, you'll have to define on which edge of this countertop you want to operate. Typically, see, you see this is a right hand side front, right? So front right is the type,
Hello.
and if what you want is a 45 degree, so that is a chamfer. So you can select chamfer, and let's say you want a chamfer of 100 mm. So you can see that the chamfer is created. Is
Oh,
this
no. They are the corners, right?
okay?
Want to finish all the way till top. I mean the total length to a 45 degree. Not just the edges, not just the corners.
Okay, you want like, then you will add a cabinet, right? You will add a corner cabinet of pentagonal cabinet or something, right?
Can I share my screen? Is that possible?
Yes, definitely. Please. I'll stop sharing.
Okay. Okay. Can I see the portion here?
Yeah, I can see it, but
Is that
okay. What you're saying, that panel itself, you want to cut it into 45 degree.
yes? You can see these edges, these
Uh,
portion, this portion.
you want that to be in 45 degree. The edge operations of a panel. So currently we don't support this in Infurnia, but if you feel this is a this is a
Yeah,
requirement,
that's very important. We usually do Turkish designs. Currently, we are doing Turkish designs. They demand this purpose.
okay, this looks very interesting. So we can actually take this up as a request for a new feature, and if we get enough people who are using this, and we can definitely look it up if it's possible for us to do it.
So for kitchen shutters are using this feature now.
Allow us a little time. If
Okay.
you can raise this with your customer service executive as a new feature, then they can definitely take it up for you. Currently, I'm extremely sorry we don't support this on Infurnia, but if you required, we can work on this.
Okay.
Right? Who's your customer service executive?
Danya. Danya.
Please reach out to Dhanya and inform her that you need something like this, and maybe she can take it up as a discussion with our product team.
Okay. We have already discussed the issue with her.
Okay.
Okay.
Definitely, then it would have reached to our product team. What any issues that you guys raise, right? We definitely discuss and raise it to our product, and you have to understand that from an Infurnia point of view, if there are a lot of customers who require this and there are a lot of requirements in the market for this, we develop the product accordingly. It is sometimes difficult for us to take like singular requests, but if it is possible, we'll definitely do it.
Okay. Thank you.
Right? Great. If there is anyone else who would raise a question, then we can continue. Otherwise, we'll be closing this session. Great. Thank you so much for your time, everyone. We will be meeting again on next Wednesday for a discussion on semi-modular kitchens. So you can, your CSMs will be posting your announcements on the group, and you can take it up accordingly. Great. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. പരിപാടി ഉണ്ട്
Bye.
നമ്മുടെ ഈ പാനൽ